It's time to speak truth in the midst of chaos, to discern fact from fiction in a world of agendas. To take control of your thoughts, define the truth, and live a life set free. It is time for counseling beyond the couch.
All right, you ready to get started?
Let's get started.
Let's do it. Well, good afternoon and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Awaken 360's Counseling Beyond the Couch with myself, Heather Freeman. I'm a licensed professional counselor and the founder and director of Awaken 360. I'm here with my partner in crime, Jenny Sotai. She's a licensed professional nurse with over 20 years of experience, including at psychiatric placements, and together we get ourselves into a lot of trouble, so you're in for it today.
Happy Friday, Heather.
Happy Friday. Please remember, everybody, this show is not a substitute for counseling, but it is a great addition to it. So if you're looking for counseling, you live in Springfield, Missouri, which is nonprofit Mecca. I guarantee you there's something out there that will be a good fit for you. And if you can't find a spot, reach out to us. We'd be happy to find a great referral site for you. If it's not within our office, we'll help you get plugged in anywhere. We just want you to be able to find an outlet for resources. So let's get started with Awaken 360's Counseling Beyond the Couch. Today's show is brought to you by Awaken 360. We are a nonprofit counseling center located in the heart of Springfield, Missouri, with a mission to restore hope and empower the community through education, preventative youth groups, counseling, and community. Join the mission or register for our programs at www.awaken360.org. Well, today we're going to get started with some more of those cognitive distortions we started talking about last week and the week before. So we'll do a real quick recap on the ones that we've already gone over, and then we're going to build that with some more of the very common cognitive distortions, what they are and how they impact our version of reality, because we all know that perception is our own reality. A listener question who wrote in on whether she and her husband should have a joint account or separate accounts and whether that's a red flag in their marriage. And then together we'll define what a healthy relationship is and some quick points on how to create one.
What do you mean whether it's a red flag? Has someone requested a joint account?
Yeah, so I'll get into the context of that a little bit later, but basically she was asking, she said that she and her husband have always had separate accounts, but she's concerned because she's been told that they should have joint accounts because they're married. And so she's wondering, is that a red flag to healthy relationships or not?
Oh, so they told her, the infamous they.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Got it.
We'll jump into that, but let's get started in the reframe, a Berean breakdown. Our reframe is a really great opportunity to take a look at everyday strategies for managing thoughts, ways to shift perspectives and build healthier habits. The breakdown invites you to question what you think you know, and every day we try to take a closer look at some common beliefs, phrases, and assumptions that we operate upon, digging into the why behind them and test them against thoughtful reflection for deeper understanding. We invite people to think critically and stay curious to refine their perspective. So that is the Berean breakdown, a reframe. All right, so today we're going to dive into kind of a quick recap. Cognitive distortions, kind of a mouthful. Another way that you can refer to them is faulty beliefs.
I like that one.
Yeah, I use both interchangeably in counseling. And so as a counselor, as a professional who specializes in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's really important to remember all cognitive distortions are rooted in very specific things. And so when you're trying to look at how you've operated your entire life and compare that with what somebody else is telling you is the healthy definition, right? Your normal versus their normal, so to speak, right? One of the great ways to be able to hold your thought accountable is to ask yourself, where's it coming from? And cognitive distortions all come from one place. They come from fear, they come from doubt, and they come from insecurity.
Okay.
So one that we're going to look at is mental filter.
Oh, I feel attacked.
Why do you feel attacked, Jenny?
Well, I struggle with my filter. That's why we have an editor here.
Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Eric. Right? So mental filter is that, kind of what you're describing, that mental filter, except what you're describing is the mental filter to hold ourselves accountable from what we talk about. A cognitive distortion mental filter is one in which we are hyper-focused on one specific train of thought at the discount and discredit of all of the others.
Okay.
So The most common form of mental filter that most people struggle with oftentimes comes from negative thinking. So let's say you go through the mental filter of I'm getting ready to go do a speech, right?
Okay.
And if I'm getting ready to go up and do a speech, I've spent all this time preparing for it. I've got my speech written. I've got kind of all my points put together. And then I get up there and I give my speech. And then I get down and everybody's like, Heather, you did so great. You did so great. You hit this point. You hit this point. But I go, no. Did you not see when I got up there I stuttered? Well, yeah, that was just at the beginning. Oh, no. That was a terrible speech. I can't believe I did that because I zoomed in on one negative aspect of what I did, one negative aspect of that experience. And I did so, and I took that and I said that the entire experience was negative because only one aspect of it was.
I think we're all guilty of that. I just had a small experience like this.
Sure.
My nieces, they did a dance recital at the Galois Theater.
Yes.
It was magnificent. And so we go there. It was cute, all that stuff. And afterwards, they're 7 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you guys did such a great job. They said, we did horrible. We forgot this move and we forgot this move. And, I didn't even realize or recognize. Nobody did. And but I thought that was a great example. We do that to ourselves all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And usually, again, remember what cognitive distortion is always rooted in. It's rooted in fear, doubt, insecurity, or justification. So mental filter is your fear. So whatever that was for each one of us, it might be my fear of not being good enough. It might be my fear of messing up and embarrassing myself in front of people. It might be fill in the blank for what it is specifically for you. Part of individualized counseling is finding out what your specific fear is. But we all struggle with fear. It's a part of our human condition. So finding out exactly what your particular insecurity is helps you because knowledge is power. So when you understand exactly what it is that your greatest fears are, what it is that your deepest desires are, it helps you to be able to recognize how that influences your behavior, how it influences your perspective, because mental filter comes from a place of fear.
So if you're afraid of something, sometimes you're fearful to even recognize that or acknowledge that.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you suggest that people begin to recognize or begin to acknowledge it in themselves? I think we all know deep down what our fears are. So how do we begin to acknowledge them?
And challenge them. Yeah, 2-step process. First, you got to recognize it. Second, you have to be willing to challenge it. So let's stay with our mental filter, cognitive distortion, right? So the example was that I'm getting ready to go up and give a speech or something to that effect, a performance, and then I come off the stage and everybody's telling me how wonderful I did, but I zoom in on the few mistakes that I made that maybe people noticed, maybe they didn't, but a 10-minute recital, right, moment that I had, 5-minute recital, whatever it might have been, and I had 2 mistakes that hardly anybody recognized. Maybe my coach did, but that was it, but it wasn't perfect, right? And so you recognize, number 1, your fear. Number 2, you root that into truth. Is every performance going to be perfect?
No.
Exactly. So you challenge it with what the truth is. And furthermore, not every time you get up to go do something, every time you get up to bat, are you going to hit the ball every single time? No, you're not. Every time that you go to throw that pitch, are you going to do a perfect curveball? No, you're not. It's just
I've been
not
to some
reality.
Little League games. Some parents need this speech. Okay, they're not going to hit the ball every time. It's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, and whatever it might be in your world, and I know those are kind of, juvenile examples, but whatever it might be in your world, let's take mental filter and let's put it into a different context. Mental filter, what if I have, if anybody in here's ever worked in customer service before? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, I grew up, put myself through college, doing customer service type jobs as I was trying to get my license and going through grad school.
Right, of course.
My husband's in a service industry, and so he has lovely, great stories when he comes home of people's mental filter. One that's my favorite, so he's in the automotive industry, and he kind of oversees management. And they were doing a sale. You're going to laugh about this one. They were doing a sale of 25% off tires, right? Okay. So you go in, you need all 4 tires. I drive an all-wheel drive vehicle, so anytime I have to get tires, I have to get all 4 of them, basically. So you drive a vehicle, you want to go in, you get your 4 tires. And one of the ladies that he was working with, that he was talking to, I guess, one of his employees was having an issue, and he called my husband over and was like, hey, can you help me out? I can't seem to get this client to understand 25% off. And so she's raving because the other place down the road is buy 3, get 1 free.
Oh my.
And my husband is sitting there going, okay, so buy 3, get 1 free is the exact same as 25% off. And
Math is hard for some of us, Heather.
She's freaking out on my husband, right? And yelling at him, telling him that he's a crook, telling him that he's all this stuff, right? And he's just genuinely trying to help this woman.
I mean, why didn't she go down the road to the buy 3, get 1 free place?
That's what he ended up just sending her to go to, because for the life of him, he's like, I could not, Heather, get her to understand that buy 3, get 1 free is the exact same as buying 75% and getting 25% off.
Wow.
But for the life of him, he couldn't get her to understand that. He's like, why in the world could I not
He felt
get this
like
through?
my algebra teacher.
Right.
She just don't get it. I can empathize with both sides there.
So why was mental filter being utilized there?
Well, on Shane's end?
Well, not on Shane's end.
I'm like, he must have had to have filtered himself at some point.
The other definition of mental filter. That'd be the
I
mouth
don't know,
filter.
because I probably am that lady that I'm, laughing at right now. So break it down for me, Heather.
I don't think it was about the math. The automotive industry is notorious for having a reputation. And one of my favorite classes in college, my undergrad, was the history of the automotive industry. And I never realized how much of our society is rooted into a lot of the developments and a lot of the inventions that not just were in the automobile, but also in the surrounding services of the automobile and how we created them. All sorts of things about our society have been shaped by what those companies, Henry Ford, GM, and some of those early companies initiated to be able to have manufacturing. It was part of our industrial revolution.
So the base thought there for her is, I'm dealing with crooks anyways.
Bingo. Yes, bingo.
Okay.
So she walked in with a filter in her mind. Maybe she had a previously bad experience at an automotive. Being a woman, it can sometimes be intimidating going into an automotive shop, because stereotypically, women don't know as much about engines, but I think that that's pretty common across the board now.
And stereotypically, male
mechanics
mechanics take advantage of that.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you have somebody like my husband, who's a very genuine person, who genuinely wants to try to help, he's not the type of person to ever take advantage of someone. When he has somebody that it's genuinely trying to help, and you come at the table with a preconceived image in your mind of what this exchange is going to be like. If you've got that mental filter in your head of every other time that I've been in this experience, they've tried to take advantage of me, they've tried to sell me stuff that I don't need, they've tried to do this, they've tried to do that.
So you've set a negative expectation before you even walk through the door.
Right, and you zoom in on those negative expectations. Your mental filter is so focused in on just the negative expectation that you have of what this exchange is going to be like, that you forfeit and you don't see any of the elements that are actually really positive. And what was funny is the harder that he tried to get her to see that buy 3, get 1 free is the exact same thing as 25% off, the more staunch she was against it. And it wasn't because he was trying to fight the math, it was because he was trying to overcome the mental filter, and he couldn't.
He could not.
And so sometimes when you're working, you asked a question about how to overcome this. So let's say that you're like my husband, right? And you're on the receiving end of a mental filter. And for those of us that have grown up or worked in customer service, you're going to get this. It's just a matter of time. If you haven't already, God bless you, because it's coming. And it's because people sometimes expect a fight when they come in to do something. And so because they expect a fight, they're geared up and ready to go, and they're going to look for every possible indication that a fight is coming, and they're already armed up and ready for it.
Oh, yes. I've experienced this a lot in my career.
Yes. And so what does this look like in relationships? Mental filter in relationships. This looks like, okay, I need to go tell my husband or my wife, or I need to go tell my child the answer is no to a question, or whatever it might be, and you're anticipating a fight or a negative response. Well, not only do you have a mental filter going in, because your fear is going to tell you, I really don't want this to go bad. I really don't want this to go bad. Please don't let this go bad. We need to have this conversation, but it's going to blow up in my face. And all these thoughts are swimming around and swirling in the back of your head about how badly it's going to go. Well, you have two things operating here. Mental filter, because you're walking through a situation that you're afraid, right?
Right.
And so I want to give you a visual, because visuals in our field help, because we're talking about abstract concepts that have a very physical nature to them and physical outcomes. So imagine a tightrope walker, right? You're standing on the edge. You know, they did that whole movie about the guy that walked between the Twin Towers back when they were up, you know, and so you're standing on the edge of this and you're about to step out onto a tightrope. And that's kind of what the anxiety is like when you're about to go have a conversation that you are so scared of which way it's going to go. It's going to go to the left and it's going to go awesome, and this person's going to be receiving of the words that you have to say, or it's going to go right and you're going to fall and it's going to boom and go very, very, very badly, right? And so you're getting ready to step out on this tightrope, trying to have this conversation. If you operate on a mental filter, it's like looking down at the tightrope the whole time. You're looking at left and right, and you're looking at all the places you don't want to go. You're so hyper-focused on any possible leanings to the left or to the right. And what ends up happening is where you go is where you're going to be looking. That's how it works. If you set your eyes on something, that's how your body is going to align. It's the same thing mentally. If you set your mind and your thoughts on what you're afraid is going to happen, you will go in that direction, because you're so afraid of it happening that all you're going to see is that mental filter, those warning signs that that negative outcome is about to happen.
That is such a powerful place in your mind. And I will tell you, as a nurse, excuse me, that I have seen people die this way. I have seen people die this way.
Do tell, Jenny.
And so I can think of many instances, but one in particular, very early in my nursing career, there was a lady, I was working in a nursing home type facility, but we had a lot of rehab patients, and so this woman, she was probably in her mid-50s, and I went in that morning and she said, "I'm gonna die today. I think I'm just gonna die today."
Oh man.
And I was like, well, let's not do that. Let's at least wait till the end of my shift. You know, if you're dead set on dying, let's make it later in the day.
Spend some time with me. You can push that off.
Let's push that off.
Reschedule that.
And later, you know, she did not die that day, but for the next 3 or 4 days, she just kept waking up and saying, "I'm gonna die today." And sure enough, out of nowhere.
Wow.
Well, not out of nowhere. She'd been telling me for 4 days.
Yeah.
But that is just one instance where I can think of, you know, where she willed herself into that to death. So it can get that serious. Your mind is that serious. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they did a whole movie, you know, Patch Adams, you know, and if you ever look into any of the research about laughter and, you know, cancer patients, people facing terminal illnesses, when you have a good spirit, when you have a good attitude, when you have a positive focus in your mind, man, it really changes your body's ability to fight that physical illness. So
absolutely,
mental health is huge, because from your mind comes everything. From your mind comes everything. And so back to that tightrope walk, right? So if you ever look and think about how a tightrope walker gets across, if you ever pay attention, where are their eyes?
Straight forward.
They're on the destination. You know, they're not looking down at where they could fall. They're not looking down at where everything could go bad. Their focus is on, I'm going there. I'm going straight that direction. And that's where they keep their focus. And so mental filter, number one, recognize your fear and check it. You're going into this conversation, you're going into this dynamic, and you're afraid that, you know, my husband's going to take advantage of you and try to sell you stuff that you don't know, and all of his people are going to, you know, this automotive industry. You're going into it. You know, those are just husbands and sons and brothers and dads and people, and their moms and dads, and they're just people like you, that they just happen to have a job in that industry. Healthcare, it's a nurse. You know, that's somebody's sister, somebody's brother, somebody's mom, dad. They're just people. And just like all people, same with police officers, right? They're just people, you know. Right. They happen, my brother-in-law, my brother, you know, people, somebody's dad, somebody's father, somebody's mom, sister, all of that. They're just trying to operate in an industry. And, you know, in healthcare, mental health, man, I saw all the flaws in our industry. I certainly wasn't trying to take advantage of them, but man, I had to sometimes operate within the confines of that industry that I found myself in. And a lot of times it really, I mean, man, I opened a nonprofit because I hated some of the aspects of our industry.
It's kind of a sad thing to see people profit off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, they're people just working within an industry and within the confines of their job and within that place. And so if you, number one, check your fear. And two, don't hyper focus in on how badly it could go, because it could also go really well. And yes, you need to be aware, and you need to be cognizant and have protective measures in place depending on the situations that you're about to face. And you need to not be naive going into it, but you also need to check your focus. Just as badly as this could go is just as good as it could go. And so if you go in with an open mind instead of one that is so hyper focused on all the bad things that could happen, what you're allowing is for good outcomes to have a space. And it allows your mind and your focus to go, ooh, look, I did lean over to the left a little bit, but instead of overcorrecting, I can just lean a little bit more to the right. And oh, look at that positive thing that just happened. They actually were receptive of something I said. I expected them to shut it down so quickly.
Right.
And you can really pay attention and give space for both.
And Heather, I find that when even the time you spend creating that expectation or feeding that fear of all the different negative scenarios, that is so much wasted time. We spend so much wasted time in that space, I feel like.
Yeah. What if?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if is a slippery slope.
The what ifs, no, I don't go there.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Yeah.
This has, for people out there that may still be questioning the power of a mental filter, just go out and look at how much some of your major sports teams spend in sports psychologists. Right? Baseball, football, if you look at some of your major national teams, they're going to spend some money on sports psychology because, and it's literally a whole niche in our field where you can specialize and get specialized training in because of the power of mental filters. And you know what, if you ever look, like how often do you watch NBA players when they're getting ready to go into the stadium, or football players when they're headed into the game, right? They get there a couple of hours early. Kobe Bryant used to show up for like 2 hours early before he played just to shoot hoops and get himself warmed up. And he would always have earbuds or headphones on, right? And he would always be playing some type of music or something in his ears to kind of get his mental state ready. And it's all about getting, with that whole term of hyped up, right? That's what this is all about, is getting a positive focus in about what you're about to go do. So instead of getting ready to give that speech or getting ready to give that performance and being like, oh my gosh, what if I yawn in the middle of that note? Or what if I totally hiccup in the middle of doing that? Or I end up doing that sway thing that I tend to do whenever I'm public speaking and show that I'm uncomfortable. Okay, so you're focusing again like the tightrope walker on where you're going to fall.
Right.
Focus on the destination, what you want this game to look like, what
and
you want that hit to look like.
And if you're a basketball fan, last night's game was such a great example.
I did not watch.
You did not watch the game.
No,
they won by 1 point. They had a player off the bench from the Bronx bring it in. It was just a really neat game.
That's pretty cool.
I don't watch enough basketball to be, to give you all the players' names or, exactly. But, I come through the living room as I hear my husband getting louder and louder. And I caught the end of that game, and it was they came from behind.
Yeah.
And I love those kind of games. I love those kind of games. What a great example of that.
Yeah, mental filter is very, very powerful. The other way that operates is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the other thing that we would call it. So when you're operating within a mental filter, you create a self-fulfilling prophecy, because what you picture to be true will happen. Last thing that I'll share about this part is, parents, I'm calling out to you.
Yeah.
In one of our last episodes, we talked about if you have a kiddo that maybe has an ODD diagnosis for oppositional defiant disorder, maybe they've got, intermittent explosive disorder, right, where they'll be calm, and then the seemingly insignificant trigger leads to a massive nuclear atomic explosion in your living room, right? So a mental filter really has a lot to play here, and that self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you're getting ready to go into a situation and all you picture from your son or daughter is that they're going to act up, guess what you've just created?
You've created your response.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
before it's even happened.
And almost to the point where sometimes they don't even have a choice, because let's say that they do start getting elevated. Instead of a response being of, okay, how can we problem solve here? How can I really connect with them on a different level instead of a power struggle? You just go, oh, here we go again.
Here we go again. I can think of a good example for this. I worked with a young man who was a liar. And he was a liar to the point that if you confronted him with the video, he would say to me,
"It's not me.
Miss Jenny, that's not me." Look, young man, we basically live together. I know what you look like, So, but this young man would lie and lie and lie. And I had a tech, and she constantly approached the situation, giving him an opportunity to lie, I think in her mind to, I'm not sure, see if he would do the right thing or challenge him. I don't think she had bad intentions.
Sure.
But I told her, quit giving him the opportunity to lie.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell him, this is what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
This is the consequence. This is what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's over, and there's not that battle in between. I don't know if I handled that right, but I sure got sick of that back and forth because it ended up being, he was expecting it from her, she was expecting it from him, and it never ended up resolving anything.
Yeah. So, man, that's a tough one because, I could see how the mental filter would be at play.
Right.
For maybe him doing something or somebody approaching him and automatically being like, I'm going to get blamed for this, right? Or I got caught for this, or whatever it might be, because context is key, man.
And on the other side of that, that worked really well for his treatment. One time, I observed a situation. A group of boys, I met the nurse. I observed a situation. This young man was 100% innocent.
Yeah.
So they come in, the situation's discovered by the text, the kids are in trouble,
right?
And who's in trouble first?
Oh, absolutely him, because he's the one that's always
So
caught.
he comes running to the desk for my rescue because that's what I'm going to do for him. And I said, no, you're a liar. And this is the reputation that you have made for yourself. And so now when you get in any situation, that's how people identify you. And so only you can change that. And when you begin to change your character, these situations will become easier for you. Now later, I did tell the tech that he was innocent, but I had a really big point to prove with him.
How did he respond to that?
It was hurtful. It was hurtful. I think I always had a really good relationship with the boys I worked with.
Yeah.
And so when I hit him hard,
you had a rapport.
Right. It hurt. And so now on the flip side of that, there are tons of things that I'm going to follow up with that young man to build him up. He was such a great helper. He really did have such a great heart for people. Yeah. He had learned that telling the truth ends in abuse. And so you have to go deeper there. But it was important for him to learn that who he had represented himself to be for this many years, that's who he was to people. And only he could change that, and he could only change it by consistently telling the truth and telling the truth and telling the truth until when he walked in the room, people didn't just see liar.
Yeah, that's a really great story. That's a hard one because it's on both sides.
Right, for sure.
Yeah. Actions have power, words have power. So that is a quick breakdown on a cognitive distortion called mental filter, and how it can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy in so many areas of our lives. Also, just a quick disclaimer, every single person on the planet struggles with cognitive distortion. The counselor that you're working with struggles with cognitive. We all find ourselves at some point in time operating within these. The key is learning how to recognize them and learning how to challenge them.
I am still very much learning every single day.
Same here. All right, so we are going to move into Off the Couch Conversations. Off the Couch Conversations is a really great opportunity to just address real therapy questions that are listener submitted. So we invite our listeners, if you have a question that you would like us to hit, please, you can private message us on Facebook at our webpage there. You can also jump to Awaken 360's webpage and do the contact note through that. You can email us at this is email, not website. Contact at Awaken.
Welcome to 2026.
My bad.
I don't think we say www dot anymore, do we?
Oh, well, apparently I do, so sorry,
okay.
guys.
I'm not sure. I'll do a survey on that and get back to you.
Okay, I've been corrected.
I'm not sure. I'm still
The
learning.
email is contact at awaken360.org, Jenny.
Thank you, Heather.
So yeah, email us in your questions. We'd love to hit them and be part of the conversation with us. So question on the table, listener had written in, and she'd been asking questions. I don't know if she's in marriage counseling. Kind of got from the way that it was described, from the way the question read, it seemed like she might be in marriage counseling currently. But it's a question that has come up about whether or not it's a red flag in a marriage to have either joint accounts or separate accounts and what that's led to. So we didn't really get much context. I'm guessing that's, most people kind of tend to keep details out because they don't want to go into the details. So we'll just kind of extrapolate on our own. What are your thoughts? Joint versus separate in a marriage?
I mean, are you asking how I do it?
No, not necessarily how you do it, but what do you view about it?
What is my view?
Should marriages
My
have
money
joint?
is my money and his money is our money, right?
What's yours is mine. And
Right. I don't know. My husband and I have we have joint accounts, but no, we have separate accounts. We have separate joint accounts. We have separate accounts.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't really discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
If he needs $10, I'll spot him, But we don't have that.
This is where mental filters come in. I'm putting my filter in so I don't get ornery.
So, yeah, we just don't have an issue there. His direct deposit comes to his account. My direct deposit comes to my account. If we're buying a vacation, we're buying it together. I'm paying bills. I'm using one of our cards. We don't have that.
Really get sticky about it.
Yeah. So, this is interesting to me. I find that people become concerned with these things after having conversations.
Maybe
with
hey, why do
other
you guys?
people?
You should, yeah. So I would say first, if it works, then why deal? If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Thank you, Beauty and the Beast.
Like, this is not the huge subject you want it to be.
Right.
Like, just be open and transparent with one another.
So that I would say, boundaries within, but you have boundaries with both.
Right.
So like if you have separate accounts, that can be a good thing depending on habits, depending on financial background. If I'm really, really, really bad with money and my husband's really, really good with it, and if I'm the kind of person...
That's the second secret account.
But, that's that credit card. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the other separate account.
Yeah, but you recognize what works and what doesn't. And that's the
Right.
part of a partnership and a marriage is that, if this is not my strength, if this is actually one of my weaknesses, but maybe it's my husband's strength, then maybe it would be a good idea to have separate accounts. That way he can help me and help hold me accountable. It's not from a place of power differential, but
Or it shouldn't be.
And it shouldn't be, yeah. That's where those boundaries should come in, is that this is not in a place of putting your thumb over me like I'm a child, but more of I might need help in this area. Maybe I grew up and I never had to worry about budgeting, but he did. And so we're in a position where we need to budget. And I'm like, oh, look, we got $100. I'm going to go shopping, and he goes, no, that's groceries.
Oh, man, what a bummer.
I know. Debbie Downer, come on. But I think as a couple, the priorities, and this is where we're probably going to go into next time, because I don't think we'll have time for it today, because deciding and describing healthy relationships versus unhealthy and how to develop that is a big subject.
And I think that's where we're at here.
Yeah, because
Like,
it's not about the account.
It's not about the account.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like my husband and I started with separate accounts because it helped us watch the pennies. Because we literally had pennies.
Right, right.
So when we got started, we had 32 cents when we first got married. And thankfully to my brother and my dad, when we got married, we got lots of money at our wedding. And we went, yay, we can buy milk.
We can buy milk. Not these days.
No, gosh, it's almost $5 a gallon.
Yeah.
But, we had separate accounts because it helped us watch it better. And it helped us stay on top of it better. But again, you have those healthy relationship boundaries, you have that healthy communication, and when you have all those in place, then whatever your system is tends to work a lot better, because you have the foundational components of a healthy relationship so that this flourishes and works for you.
Absolutely. It is not healthy for my husband to know every iced coffee stop I make.
Speaking of.
Right. So, I don't know. It's just what works.
Derek,
what
she
works
bought
for your
iced coffee
marriage.
today.
Yes, I did. Well, he probably knows that. I've been on quite a bender this vacation. I got like 40 pictures of 40 different coffees I've tried along the way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, I love coffee.
Well, I think you're allowed to. It was your birthday and you went on vacation, so I'm
Yes.
just gonna I'm voting for that.
I definitely went overboard on the coffee. I'm gonna have to back off. And we'll address that in
That's
therapy here
that's your
later.
tweaking.
Right.
You're right.
We were like 4 hours from home. I'm like, I have to find a Starbucks anywhere. It was desperate. It was sad, and
Coffee
my husband
addiction.
is good to me and found me one. So
That's awesome.
I gotta address that later. Maybe in future sessions
There you
together.
go.
Heather, you can help me address my addiction to coffee. It's gonna have to happen.
I'll speak from a place of agreement. If I don't have
Yeah.
my coffee in the morning on the way into work, it's like a behavioral habit now. It's not
It
even about the
is.
coffee. It's just I like driving and having that to sip while I drive in. Keeps me sane while my kids are screaming in the back seat.
I've started eating chocolate covered espresso beans.
Oh, my sister does that. Those are good
I
and
did
dangerous.
that probably about 10 years ago in my nursing career, and like now at this age I'm like, how did I do those long shifts? And then at the coffee shop I was like, oh yeah, chocolate covered espresso beans, bring them on.
All right, Jenny, we rabbit trailed.
Okay, yeah.
That would be squirrel. We had our ADHD moment.
Okay, back to the joint account. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, so I think to circle back, to this listener's question, joint account versus separate account, what works for you guys is what works for you guys. I would more ask, is there transparency? Is there support? Are we working together in an equal partnership to address things? Are we using our resources together? Is it, here's your money, here's my money, or is it our money still? If something comes up, is it, well, no, that's your bill, not mine, you go deal with it? Or is it, okay, let's problem solve this together?
I think a healthy relationship is key to a joint account.
Yeah, I mean, either way, with either a joint
Yes, either, yes.
or a separate account, you have to have those healthy foundations, because any system that you utilize is going to expose weaknesses, and so when you see those in the relationship, those are things to be addressed. So I would ask, why are you asking?
Yeah.
Would be the first thing.
And
that
I would say
ask.
if this is a subject that's rooted in control,
yes,
then yeah, that's a red flag.
mm-hmm.
So if it's not rooted in control and it's just, something your girlfriend's brought up and whatnot, then you're probably overthinking it. But if this is something rooted in control, it needs to be addressed.
Yeah, so more context would help with that one. Moments that matter. This is an old story back from, I don't think you and I work together anymore after this one. I think you were over at the new building and I was still at the old one.
Purgatory. I was in Purgatory,
You were
Heather.
in Purgatory, and I was at the building with the giant cockroaches that I would have to get the boys to come squash, because downtown Springfield has really big cockroaches.
Did
I'm
you know
just
that?
saying.
They have massive cockroaches.
They're huge.
And so I won't rabbit trail for long, but here's how I found the solution to that.
Oh, goodness.
I kept making a complaint to maintenance. Please come deal with these giant saddle-sized cockroaches.
I mean, they were huge.
And they accused me of exaggerating. Imagine that. And it was terrible. So what I did is I caught one, or the boys caught one.
I remember this.
I put it in a biohazard bag, stapled it to an incident report, and poked some holes in the bag so that they could see for sure that I was not exaggerating. I turned it into the mailbox of the person in charge of this, which was an infection control nurse.
Who went, oh, okay, yeah, we believe you now.
The exterminators were there the next day.
I bet they were.
Sometimes people
need a little push.
I
And a
don't
cockroach in your
always
mailbox
exaggerate.
at work. Might do it.
Yep.
Okay, so this was a question from that when I was at that building. Still, you lucky dog, you got to get away from them.
Right. That's downtown. That's every building downtown. They live in the sewers, according to the exterminators.
Yeah. So I had a situation where I was working with somebody, and man, it was kind of a rough background. I was working on with military personnel at the time. And with families, and if you're talking mental filter, if you're talking reputations, military is tough on mental health. That policy of don't ask, don't tell goes further than just one topic.
Oh, for sure.
And, their definition at the time, I would hope that they've improved
things. It covers a multitude of things.
Yeah, but their definition at the time of mental health is like you've done a 1.5 to 2 year stint overseas, active duty, war zone, and then you come back and the screening for whether or not you're safe to go back home for PTSD is, do you want to hurt yourself or not? No, of course. You're standing in a lineup with all of your other servicemen and women on your left and your right. Who's going to say yes?
Right.
And so it's, okay, they're good, stamp, ready for go, and at the time, that was kind of the extent of the mental health screening to be able to release soldiers back out after active duty. And, so their families were usually the ones that would reap the consequences of good and bad screenings. And not getting help because they were the first ones to see the outcome. And so, that whole policy of, if you're a colonel and you've got high-ranking, top-secret clearance, if your family is having mental health problems, they're gonna say at the time
that's the colonel's fault.
That it's the colonel's fault. He needs to get his ship in order, and they'll yank his top security clearance, and that's his job. Yeah. So, it's
not just his job. That's his
life.
That's his life.
Military
that's his
is
career.
life.
So
sometimes
pull it together.
Yeah, and so it's kind of that hide it, don't talk about it, don't foul up. We're in public. My CO is in front of us. Get it together. And it really, if you've got pressure from mental health and mental stability in one area, this adds more pressure. So, quick version of a very long-winded story. I was working with a child, an adolescent, older adolescent, so kind of getting ready to launch into adulthood. And this had been the dynamic in which this person had grown. And, struggles were just ones that you didn't talk about because you don't want dad to lose top secret clearance. He loses his rank, he loses his rating, everything goes bad for the whole family. And then you're the problem child who created it.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. And so, when people are overseas, you go from having a partnership in the family to being a single mom or a single dad overnight. And it changes the dynamic in huge, huge ways, on top of the fact that you oftentimes are being shifted over into different settings and communities where you don't have that support. So this girl had been, over on multiple sleepovers and had been exposed to some of parents' worst fears during that time. And she had developed a truth. And her truth was that it's dangerous to be a sheep.
Okay.
It's really dangerous to trust people. It's really dangerous to give people the benefit of the doubt. Not only do I need to keep myself together and not talk about things that I struggle with, because if I do, it's going to cause dramatic repercussions for my family. But if I talk about this, there's going to be dramatic repercussions for my family. And so her mindset was, if I can't be a sheep, if I can't be vulnerable, if I can't talk, if I can't have weakness, if I can't have struggle, then man, I better be the best wolf out there. Because if I'm the best wolf, nobody will mess with me. And those are her words, not mine. If you have to live amongst wolves, you might as well be the best one. Right. And I remember when we had gotten to that truth, that had taken months to get to that point. We had sifted through a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma and a lot of baggage that she'd been carrying for many years. And when she shared that with me, I was like, how do I fight that? Like, how do I fight that reality? Because you're not wrong. Like, in certain situations, I think back to when we got kids from inner city on the coast. And, that was the same mentality. Probably different words were used to describe that mentality. But if you are a chump on the street, you're going to get treated like a chump on the street. And so you have to operate in a way that no one's going to take advantage of you. And if you show any sign of weakness, it's dog eat dog world kind of thing. So
I struggled with this as a teenager.
Yeah, I mean,
I had a lot of juvenile issues with this.
It's hard because, not all of us grow up in good, safe settings. And, in an ideal world, we would. In an ideal world, we would have intact families, and we would have the best case scenario, and we would have safety and security. But the truth is we don't always. And so I'm sitting there with this truth being presented to me, and I'm going, how do I fight that? And the reality that we had to root into and that we talked about was, number one, this was her moment that really mattered, was I asked her, I said, when you look in the mirror after becoming the best wolf that you could be, after hurting all the people that you've hurt, after damaging all the relationships that you've damaged, after all of the junk that's been left behind, are you proud of the person you see? And she couldn't say yes. Like, no matter how she tried to wrap her head around it, all that she could see now was the people that had made her into the wolf that she was right before me. And that was the moment that mattered for her, that was when we started to really peel back that layers and go, you're not wrong. Some people are wolves. Some people are wolves in sheep clothing, and you have to be mindful of that. You have to protect, but you can protect without becoming the very thing that hurt you. You can protect and you can be strong with also owning that you're not inhuman. You have weakness, you have struggle, you have difficulty, and you're allowed to have those, and you can be vulnerable because vulnerability is strength. The people that are truly strong in the room are the ones that can be honest about what they struggle with. It's the ones that have to fake and act all big, bad, and Brody when they walk out. Those are the weakest ones in the room.
Right.
They have to pretend to be strong. They have to pretend to be the wolf. But the ones that can be honest, that's true strength.
Yeah, that reminds me of the two wolf story. I know we're running out of time, so if you haven't heard that story, the story of the two wolves, look it up.
Well, we should hit with that one next time. Story of two wolves.
Yeah. If you're listening out there and you haven't heard that, do your research. Just look it up. I'm sure Google will tell you. Just Google it and check it out. It's really neat.
We'll have to check in on that one next time. So I hope that moment that mattered really showed you that growth takes time, change is hard sometimes, and you have to really challenge preconceived truths, little truth that you had that was developed over time. But that is the end of our program today. We want to thank our sponsor, Awaken 360. And guys, we really want to thank you guys for being a part of our show. You can catch highlights and past episodes online at awaken360.org. No www.
I mean, you can YouTube. Put in the www if you want. What do they say, boomer?
Yeah, and Facebook. Jenny and I'll be here every Friday afternoon from 4 to 5. So until next time, remember the truth, guys.
Thank you for listening to Awaken 360's Counseling Beyond the Couch with Heather Freeman, LPC, and Jenny Sodai, LPN. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel for the newest updates and programs. We are launching our A360Y groups for ages 12 to 18. To learn more and register a student or to volunteer to be a group lead, go to www.awaken360.org. Remember to email contact@awaken360.org or message us on Facebook to ask any questions or share your own stories. Until next week, you have a purpose, you're here on purpose, and truth will set you free to achieve that purpose.